Hello, and welcome back to My Book of Mormon with me, David Michael. So this is a fun little midweek episode. I got to give you a little backstory of what happened. So my birthday happened over the weekend, and thank you to everyone on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else, and even email that sent me birthday wishes. I honestly don't think I've ever received so many happy birthdays in my life. So I just appreciate that. I even got some voicemails with some lovely songs, and I think I'm going to be playing them next episode, because this episode is a little bit different. My best friend, Scott, he pulled me out of work and said, come on, we got to go celebrate your birthday. And so we were at the bar having fun, and I said, I kind of have to go because I kind of have to record tonight. And, a few beers later, suddenly I had this grand idea, hey, why don't we just go record together? And so it was the first time I ever did like a live, in-person two people recording. So the audio is a little bit different in this episode because, we had to set up a mic instead of me using like the headset kind of thing. So anyway, I don't know that it lives up to the normal audio quality that you become accustomed to, but hopefully it's good enough. I think it's listenable anyway. But yeah, it's a little bit different. The thing I liked about it was that it struck me kind of funny how much of this book I've become numb to, right? Like the bizarreness of it. So it was kind of funny listening to him, encounter phrases like, and it must needs be, and just like struggling. And I remember back, like the first time I encountered that myself being like, that's weird. But now I can just read it like it's nothing. So it's kind of fun. I know that a lot of listeners enjoy the fact that I'm encountering this stuff for the first time. And I kind of got the enjoyment myself because, Scott has listened to the show, but certainly hasn't listened to all of them. So he's not completely up to date. So a lot of the stuff that he encountered as he was reading it, it made me laugh. And so you pretty much hear me laughing the entire episode. So anyway, if you find this one annoying, I'm sorry. It's different. And if there's one thing I like to do, sometimes it's switch it up a little. And, so that's what we did. So yeah, I have a lot of people to thank, but I'm actually not going to because the episode's going to run a little bit long anyway. One person I do want to thank, and the reason I need to do it now and not in the next episode is that, it comes up, is that, a Mimo named, Manuel, he actually had this, Book of Mormon, this physical Book of Mormon, and he said, hey, I don't need it anymore. I want to send it to you. And I thought, okay. So he sent me this book, and it is fantastic. I mean, I don't know how much this thing costs, but Manuel, thank you so much. I mean, this is like gold leaf, leather bound. It's huge too. I mean, it's an enormous book. And, that was the one that Scott was, reading from. And so he actually at one point was just like, dear God, this thing is heavy because it's huge. But anyway, thank you so much, Manuel. And, yeah, really appreciate it kind of came as a birthday gift. So thank you. All right. With that, I think I'm just going to go ahead and play the pre-recording of me and my best friend Scott reading, let's see, Third Nephi 4 and 5. Yeah. That's what we got through. So I hope everybody enjoys it. If not, hey, what are you going to do? You just have to suffer through one of them, and then we'll be back to the normal schedule. And so I'll do the normal release later this week with all of the relevant thank yous to all of the generous mimos and all of that fun stuff, and we'll get right back into Third Nephi. So without further ado, here is your host, David, with his best friend, Scott. Enjoy. All right. We are here with my good friend, Scott, from the mybiasedopinion.com. Right? Did I get that right?
That's correct. Seemed a little slow to get out, but yeah.
You know why? Because my show's called My Book of Mormon, but the website, I didn't want to pay for that domain, podcast. So I had to add the podcast. Yeah, so I was like, I almost said mybiasedopinionblog.com. No. It's just My Biased Opinion.
I paid the full $9.
Well done, sir. That was a domain name worth spending money for. All right. We'll let you do a proper plug at the end of this. But, anyway, for those of you that are like, I don't know, fanboying on me, and you've actually listened to all the guest episodes I've been on, this will not be the first time you've heard Scott. He was on with us, with Bill and Susie from
Barroom Atheist.
That's the one, Barroom Atheist. See, I knew I brought you along for a reason. So here's the deal. Scott, took me out for birthday drinks, and by the way, thank you to everybody that sent me birthday wishes. That was, I don't think I had that many, but happy.
But how many of them took you out for birthday drinks?
Just the one. My, what do we call each other?
I don't want to go there. I'm looking at David awkwardly right now. He makes me uncomfortable.
I don't know. It didn't look awkward to me. It looked longing. I saw the burning in your bosom. That you probably wouldn't make sense. So Scott has listened to the show, but I don't think he's up to date. So I'm going to give him a quick rundown. So Jesus has been born, but we're in North America, mind you. So how do they know? Right? Because from your understanding, he was born in Palestine. So anyway, he was given, he gave some prophecies to some people that there'd basically be a night where it didn't get dark. Sun would go down, they'd watch it set, but it wouldn't get dark. And then that happened. So that's how we know that Jesus is now among us. And now here's the thing. We've already been told from another prophecy that when Jesus dies, there will be no light for 3 days. Even the stars, there's darkness, right? So we haven't hit that yet. So we are now at the point of the story where we're still in America, but Jesus is in physical form.
So somebody through some sort of primitive social media informed Nephi's?
Yes.
Perhaps.
Nephites.
Nephites, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, pardon my Mormon ignorance. So through some form of primitive social media, they were informed that Jesus was born.
They were. I think it was the first tweet.
It was the first Facebook posting ever.
The sun, it just stayed bright. That's how they knew. Also,
I can imagine that posting, by the way. Virgin birth.
Yeah. Wait, what? That was it? This wasn't that funny. I might cut that whole thing out. Try it again.
Awesome.
I was about to say something and then you made a joke. So we might have more than one birthday drink. Imagine that. Your host has been known to drink. And, anyway, so what was the other thing I was going to tell you? Oh, yeah. So the Nephites and the Lamanites actually are not at odds anymore. They're all chums. They're all buddies. They're hard to distinguish. In fact, some Lamanites have been so, good and righteous that God, turned them back to being white. I'm not making that up. He did. You see, you're laughing because you're like, that doesn't sound like my kind of guy.
I'm just thinking it might screw up the whole release of that movie, Selma.
That would be, yeah, they were not Nephites, no. Alright, so, we're gonna jump in now to chapter 4. It's pretty much where we left off. And, there's these robbers. Forgot about them. The Gadianton and robbers. So this is, it started out as kind of like a little mafia thing. Just this little organized crime syndicate, but they gained so much power. And I think it's because the only other alternative is this god-awful theocracy. So, people are just flocking to the robbers. So now it's this pretty big thing. They're now actually kind of outnumbering the Nephite Lamanite Confederation, which have all consolidated now into this one city. So they're all in this one spot, and this whole, like, crime syndicate has surrounded them.
So since they're in the U.S., where are they in the U.S.?
No one knows. No one. I gave up trying to figure out the geography. It was always like, and south of the land bountiful, north of desolation, on the west side of it. I'm like, I don't know. So anyway, it's, I don't think it matters, really. It hasn't really hurt the story. I haven't the foggiest idea where. So we're just going to keep going with it. All right. So as always, we're going to go back and forth, with verses. So Scott, as our honored guest, chapter 4, verse 1, take it away.
I thought I was doing the evens.
Oh, for God's sake.
Well, that's a lot of pressure. Well, fine. I'm going to open up with the first, and it came to pass. Drink!
There you go.
That in the latter end of the 18th year, those armies of robbers had prepared for battle and began to come down, to sally forth from the hills.
Wait, just stop there. No. What if all you read was came down to Sally? Isn't that a song?
It's Lay Down Sally.
Oh, okay. Close enough, yeah.
And out of the mountains and the wilderness, and their strongholds, and their secret places, and began to take possession of the lands, both which were in the land, south, and which were in the land, north.
You see where I get lost in this?
It's a very long way to say that.
Yeah.
And began to take possession of all the lands which had been deserted by the Nephites, and the cities which had been left desolate.
Yeah, because they did. Like, in the last chapter, they just waved this magic wand and said, everyone come live in this one city now. Never mind that an entire continent just relocated with really no description of the logistics involved, but also...
I just like that. We were in the land north and we were in the land south.
Oh, trust me, that is like an abridgment, because this might be the first time they didn't just go on with east and west.
And yet they never say Boston.
Never.
That would have been much easier.
Yeah. No, they won't tell you that. You never know. I don't even know if this is North or South America. I'm going to be really blunt. Even like I screwed up early on. Turns out the book was trying to tell us that they crossed the Pacific Ocean in their little Jesus raft.
They went the long way.
Yeah. And when someone pointed out, like, yeah, dude, the book clearly said they went, east. And I just didn't really think, oh, wait, that's the other way.
Do your listeners ever write you and tell you that you monologue too much between readings or no?
There is one iTunes review that says, I know that this is a reading of the book and commentary. There's a little bit too much commentary.
A little more reading and a little less commentary?
It has. So I've had one person that said that. But everybody else seems to like my ramblings. All right, so verse 2, but behold, there were no wild beasts nor game in those lands which had been deserted by the Nephites, and there was no game for the robbers, save it were in the wilderness.
And the robbers could not exist, save it were in the wilderness, for the want of food, for the Nephites had left their lands desolate, and had gathered their flocks and their herds and all their substance. I'm wondering what substances they grabbed. And they were in one body.
Well, you got it. You got it.
If you take enough substance, you can feel like you're all in one body.
You do. I mean, if you're going to take everything, you got to take your stash. I mean, that's
you're not going to leave the stash.
That's implied.
Who grabbed the substance?
Right. You could have left the pig, but where's the stash? All right. So, yeah, that's pretty much what it sounded like, everybody. The Nephites had a bit of scorched earth policy. As they abandoned their homes, they pretty much left nothing.
We're doing a crossover with Dan Carlin at this point.
Well, that Dan Carlin didn't come up with scorched earth. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. Therefore, there was no chance for the robbers to plunder and obtain food, save it were to come up in the open battle against the Nephites. Well, there you go. Well, at least they weren't trying to fight. Sounds like it's out of necessity. They have to eat. And the Nephites being in one body, having so great a number, and having reserved for themselves provisions and horses and cattle and flocks of every kind.
And their stash.
Yeah, implied stash. That they might subsist for the space of 7 years. Well, they did their math well. I guess they know 7 years of food.
Ironic, the same amount of time that Joseph would have with his bounty and the drought. Power of 7 seems to be quite important.
See, I'm sorry. In this, when you said Joseph, I assumed the Smith.
Oh, yeah, not Smith.
Yes.
The biblical Old Testament
the
Joseph.
Son of Jacob? Yeah.
Maybe.
Wasn't he?
Yes, I think
because Jacob was, yeah.
Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
That Joseph. Not Jesus' stepdad.
Oh.
We're going Old Testament Joseph. Well, that's what he was. I think he was. All right. I wasn't done. 7 years, okay. In which time they did hope to destroy the robbers from off the face of the land, and thus the 18th year did pass away. So it sounds like they were actually saying, we can survive 7 years. They can't. They'll starve. All right.
I don't know. I'm getting ergonomic issues because the book that David gave me to read
Do you want to switch?
Is like 1,000-pound Book of Mormon. It's like a tablet. I think it's written on the original golden plate.
This is the gift I got.
It's a beautiful gift.
It really is.
It's just not ergonomically friendly.
It's huge. Well, you can switch if you want the e-reader.
I think that there's an important event here.
All right.
And it came to pass.
Drink!
That in the 19th year, Gideoni?
I think that's it. Gideon he, but they do pronounce the H. This is Southern rules.
This is Southern. Gideon he found that it was expedient that he should go up battle against the Nephites. For there was one way that could subsist, save it were to plunder, rob, and murder. I feel like save should become like a shot.
Good, stop. You don't need more drinks. We already have enough drinks.
I like save.
Yeah, probably. Expedient gets brought up a bunch. But anyway.
I like durst.
No, so basically it's the same thing. He's like, we're going to starve if we don't attack, so we got to do it. And they durst not spread themselves upon the face of the land, insomuch that they could not rise grain, lest the Nephites should come upon them and slay them. Therefore Gideon he gave commandment unto his armies that in this year they should go up to battle against the Nephites. Well, this makes no sense, because I've never heard of a attacking army that said, gee, wouldn't it be awful if they left their fortified defensive position and fought us in the field? Like, I don't understand.
Isn't that what happened in Troy?
It's like, gee, how do we keep them from coming and attacking us out here?
We'll go out vulnerable.
Yeah, so we would much rather attack them behind their walls than goad them out. That's weird. But apparently that's why they can't plant crops, because God forbid they actually might leave their fortified position and attack.
I'm just going to say that this book was designed for a drinking game, because I need to open again with, and it came to pass.
Drink!
That they did come up to battle, and it was in the 6th month, and behold, great and terrible was the day that they did come up to battle, and they were girded about after the manner of robbers, and they had a lambskin about their loins. This is like 50 Shades of Grey.
It is.
And they were dyed in blood, still supporting my hypothesis, and their heads were shorn.
That's a good look.
Continuing on.
That's a good look.
And they had head plates upon them, clearly part of the repertoire one would wear in 50 Shades.
This does kind of sound rather dungeony.
And great and terrible was the appearance of the armies of Gideon he, because of their armor and because of their being dyed in blood. This is like a horror film.
Yeah, it kind of is. But I got to tell him, latex is way better than the lambskin. Like, that's
clearly
kind of...
you get some infections, too.
Yeah, you gotta be safe.
There's a lot of bacteria.
Gotta be safe, Robert.
Unless you have a latex allergy, you really shouldn't go with lambskin.
I can't imagine. I just wouldn't feel like that. That would be creepy. I would feel like I was... Never mind. I don't want anything to do with them, but...
I feel like I was inside a lamb.
That's where I was going with it. And I didn't know how to say that without dropping an F-bomb. So thank you for finding the appropriate words. All right. So they're pretty scary looking. That's what it sounds like. And it came to pass, drink, that the armies of the Nephites, when they saw the appearance of the army of Gideon, had fallen to the earth. Pussies. And they did lift their cries to the Lord their God, that he would spare them and deliver them out of the hands of their enemies. Man, all they do is dress up scary.
It's like, I'm going to lay down on the earth.
Like, oh my God,
he's got bloody chest plates with latex.
Trick-or-treaters come to these Nephites' house. They're like, dear God, these children are demons. Save us, Jesus. Right.
It's not working. They're subscribing to the wrong faith. And it came to pass, drink, that when the armies of Gideon saw this, they began to shout with a loud voice, because of their joy, for they had supposed that Nephites had fallen with fear because of the terror of their armies. So they're really just putting the emphasis on the right syllable at this point, right? I mean, they're just like, yes, we really, really scared the shit out of them. I'm sorry. We can't swear.
I can beep it.
We'll bleep that.
Actually, just swear. I'll beep it out. But I love that it's like, they had joy because they supposed that they'd fallen with fear. No, they did. That is exactly what they did. They're not supposing it. All right. But in this thing, they were disappointed. Wait, for the Nephites did not fear them. They literally just fell to the earth and begged God to spare and deliver them, is what just happened. But
that's exactly what it says, in fairness.
No, read it verbatim. Go back to 8. So when the Nephites saw the appearance of the army of Gideon, they fell to the earth, lifted their cries to the Lord their God, and begged that they would spare them and deliver them out of the hands of their enemies. They're terrified. Freaking...
But in this thing, they were disappointed.
No. Here's the deal. Gideon's people were excited because they're like, look at them, bunch of pussies, scared to death. But then they were later disappointed because the Nephites did not fear them. What a bunch of BS. They clearly feared them.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, so we agree?
We're saying the same thing.
Oh, for God's sake. All of that for nothing.
Go back and edit it.
All right. Nephites did not fear them, according to something, but they did fear their God and did supplicate him for protection. Therefore, when the armies of Gideon did rush upon them, they were prepared to meet them. Yea. Drink!
Oh, drink.
Yeah. In the strength of the Lord, they did receive them.
Definitely going back to 50 Shades.
I'm telling you.
Group action.
Apparently, in the strength of the Lord, they did receive them. So, sounds like they got it pretty hard.
I always like to be received in the strength of the Lord myself.
I mean, if you got to get received.
If you're going to be received, let it be in the strength of the Lord. Or at least with. Honey, I got news for you. This one's coming with the strength of the Lord.
It's not gay. It was the Lord.
It's not gay.
The Lord was there. That makes it okay.
Totally straight then.
Oh, yeah.
And the battle commenced in this 6th month, and the great and terrible was the battle thereof. Yea, drink. Great and terrible was the slaughter thereof.
There you go.
Insomuch that there was never known so greater a slaughter among all the people of Lehi since he left Jerusalem.
I know, shouldn't be laughing. They keep one-upping themselves. This is like the 4th time that they've told us never before has there been such a slaughter. And it's like, so worse than the last time. But they gave up on numbers because I remember the first time there was a slaughter, it was pretty horrifying. It was like 20,000 people. And now it's like, but greater than that. So I don't know. This sounds bloody.
I actually just want to ask your readers out there, how many times do they contract multiple words into a single word, like in so much, and in the following sentence opening with notwithstanding is a single word?
They do that.
I think they really spaces must have been very precious.
But you do give the Mimos way too much credit for calling them readers. They're lazy. They make me do all the reading. They just sit there, little headphones on, just kicking back, eyes closed.
Yeah, but it's a great expense. They have to listen to all this commentary.
That I do make them wait for the reading. That is true. There is a price.
Imagine somebody out there's taking a Xanax waiting for the next paragraph.
All right. And here's another word jamble here. And notwithstanding the threatenings and the oaths which Gideon had made, behold, the Nephites did beat them. 50 Shades again. Insomuch that they did fall back from before them. Well, there you go. Imagine that. the entire civilization, which somehow piled into this one walled city, was able to repel a attacking force. It happened.
And it came to pass.
Drink.
That Gideoni.
Different. This is a different person.
This is Gidjidani.
Yeah. No, it's
I think it's Gidjidani.
Gidgidoni.
Gidgidoni.
Tell me that's not what it says.
I think it could be
Gidoni.
I think it could be Gidjidani or Gidgidoni. So we're gonna go.
Maybe it's.
I think I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Giggity Giggity.
I just figured it out. It could be Giggity Giggity, but I just put the Book of Mormon ring to it, and it's Gidgidoni.
Fair enough.
Does that not sound more Mormon-y?
For the remainder of this paragraph, it is Giggity Giggity.
Fuck.
And it came to pass, you have to drink again.
Oh.
Giggity Giggity commanded that his armies should pursue them as far as the borders of the wilderness, and that they should not spare any that should fall into their hands by the way, and thus did pursue them, and did slay them, to the borders of the wilderness, even until they had fulfilled the commandment of Giggity Giggity.
So here's the thing. Don't mess about. This is the most confusing thing we've ever read, because Gidgidoni, as I'll say it, is the good guy. Gideon, he's the bad guy.
It's a little crazy that they would make the name so close, right? Are they somehow related or no?
I don't think so. I think it was random. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe whoever was writing this just had the giggles that day, and I don't know. But there you go. And so, once again,
weird that we're two Italians fighting each other.
Now, once again, let's say you just read this. Who would you think are the good guys and the bad guys?
I would have thought Gideoni was the good guy.
Really? Even as he's chasing a bunch of defenseless people and just killing them in the back?
That would be the protagonist in most biblical stories.
All right, fair enough. You're taking the apologetic view again. I'm just saying that as I read this, it oftentimes, and the book will do it, it'll actually realize, wait a minute, we're saying a lot of bad stuff about the good guys. I better throw in a verse here that says, because of God and all. Right. And so anyway.
Because their skin darkened.
No, when the good guys are being evil, the book will throw in there. Don't forget
that
the
evil
good guys
were their skin was darkening.
Oh, that's why they had to be smitten. Yeah. So sounds like the good guys are just mowing down the bad guys in the back, and quite proud of it seems. Yeah. Okay. And it came to pass, Drake, that Gideon, bad guy, who had stood and fought with boldness, was pursued as he fled. And being weary because of his much fighting, he was overtaken and slain. And thus was the end of Gideon, the robber.
They go on and on about like the fear and the everything. Yeah. And then boom, he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
It's just that fast. One sentence. There's no and a sword came down slowly.
No. Even when that's happened, like this one time, it's like, and the lance pierced him through the heart. And he was no longer. It was just like, when people die, it's pretty uneventful. It's just, that happened. All right.
It reminds me, like Kurt Vonnegut in his stories, like, somebody will die and I'll say, so it goes. It just, boom, move on. That's kind of how this reads, just so you know. Maybe that's where Kurt Vonnegut got his,
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know who Kurt Vonnegut is?
No.
Famous contemporary American literature writer. Wow. Okay, so trust me.
Are you struggling to find the word author?
Is
he an author?
You're making fun of me, and you don't know who Kurt Vonnegut or Slaughterhouse-Five or any of those are. So we're going to move on. You can edit this out later, but
I'm not from Chicago. Okay,
it's not from Chicago.
It is. All that Slaughterhouse stuff. Chicago. That was all Chicago stuff.
Let's make that your next assigned reading. You could read Kurt Vonnegut on podcast. Okay, and it came to pass, Drake, that the armies of the Nephites did return again to their place of security. And it came to pass, double drink, that this 19th year did pass away, and the robbers did not come again to the battle.
I thought they were all dead.
I am very confused. Neither did they come again in the 20th year.
Oh, yeah.
I would assume if they're dead, they're dead. They're not going to come back next year or the year after.
Some of them made it to the wilderness somehow, and they have, after 2 years, they just haven't been heard from, sounds like.
Because it looks like the 21st year is going to bring about some drama.
Well, I don't know. Let me start it. In the 21st year, they did not come up to battle. No. This happens, by the way. The book has to make a point of calling out every year. And so even if nothing happens, they'll still mention the year. We don't know why they do that. But anyway. But they came up on all sides to lay siege. Wait a minute. That's coming up to battle. All right. They didn't come up to battle. They just surrounded us and laid siege to our city. That's okay. But that's not a battle. All right. So they came up on all sides to lay siege round about the people of Nephi. For they did suppose that if they should cut off the people of Nephi from their lands, and should hem them in on every side, and if they should cut them off from all their outward privileges, what that means, that they should cause them to yield up themselves according to their wishes.
I think outward privileges is their stash.
Oh my God, they don't have a stash? Well, of course
they're gonna come out eventually.
They need the stash. But this is, I love that they said they're gonna lay siege on the, where they are. And then they have to go into this description of what a siege is. Like, who doesn't know that? But anyway, apparently we got an elementary lesson in ancient battlefield tactics.
Now that they had appointed unto themselves another leader, whose name was Zemnariha.
I'm so glad you got that one.
Therefore, it was Zemnariha that did cause this siege to take place. Thanks for saying it twice. Got it. Can you make me say Zemnariha 4 times?
Sounds a lot like diarrhea, doesn't it? No, not even a chocoladia? Fine.
Yeah, no.
But behold, this was an advantage to the Nephites, for it was impossible for the robbers to lay siege sufficiently long to have any effect upon the Nephites because of their much provisions which they had laid up in store. Oh, because of their 7 years.
Clearly.
Yeah. So they don't care. They lay siege all you want.
So there's 7 years
we
of
have
stash.
We have 7 years of stash. Whatever.
And because of the scantiness of provisions among the robbers, for behold, they had nothing save it were meat for their substance, no stash.
Technically it's subsistence, but yeah, I'm with you.
Which meat they did obtain in the wilderness. Can't they just keep getting more meat then if they're in the wilderness?
Well,
that wilderness must be like far, far away.
It is a magical place.
It must be far,
I'm not
far
kidding.
away.
People have had to hide out for tens of years in wilderness every time. Whenever someone needs to escape, wilderness, poof. It's like magic. They vanish. It's a beautiful place. All right. So, they're hungry. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how all the hunter-gatherers did it for hundreds of thousands of years, but they can't. They just can't do it.
I would have just lived in the wilderness, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Why are they trying to take them? I don't know. It's a good point. Actually, these robbers have confused the hell out of me. I've actually asked the Mimos for someone to explain to me their motivations. Because seriously, at first they sounded like they kind of wanted anarchy, just crime, survival of the fittest kind of thing. But then, now they're kind of turning into a government of themselves, and I don't get them. I don't understand. But anyway, okay. So they are, where did you leave off?
20.
19. I'm at 20. And it came to pass, drink, that the wild game became scarce in the wilderness. Ah, see, there's your question. Insomuch that the robbers were about to perish with hunger. They are driving the wilderness extinct.
I don't mean to be overly dramatic, but if I'm standing outside somebody's city and I start to get hungry, I go into the wilderness. I don't wait till I'm about to perish. I mean, it's 11:30 and I'm like, I need Chipotle. Who's waiting that long? Okay, I'm about to perish. It's been 12 days.
And especially, listen, if this environment is not sustainable, right? It sounds like it's not, wilderness or otherwise. So what's your motivation to go take this city where they have a couple years of survival left, and then that's it? There's nothing left.
Well, and I gotta tell, I just sort of scanned the next paragraph and I'm even more confused.
No reading ahead?
I didn't read ahead. I saw words.
All right.
And the Nephites were continually marching out by day and night and falling upon their armies and cutting them off by thousands and by tens of thousands. Wait a minute. At 11:30, I'm hungry and leaving for the wilderness. These guys are hanging out there while they're getting slaughtered? Who's laying siege? This is not siege. This is something else.
Hashtag worst siege ever.
This is like lemmings walking off a cliff in droves. At what point do you say, not working?
Yeah. They're starving to death.
Hang on, there's no Chipotle.
No.
And they're killing us.
They probably don't even have a stash. They're just getting slaughtered by the tens of thousands.
Jesus.
Okay, and the slaughter continues, it seems, and thus it became the desire of the people of Zemnariah, I think you did that better, to withdraw from their design. But they finally got there, Scott.
Wait, there was a design? What was it?
Hope.
So hope is a great strategy.
Because of the great destruction which came upon them by night and by day. So apparently it wasn't the hunger that got them. It was the senseless slaughter.
I'm just grateful that I get to drink. And it came to pass, drink, that Zemnariha, which I believe is the proper pronunciation, but I might be wrong.
Ah, sounds good.
Did give command unto his people. Though I'm surprised Zemnariha is a male.
Actually, all eyes, I think they always have the I sounds. I think it's probably Zemnariah.
Oh, Zemnariah. We'll go with it.
That's
Zemnariah did give command unto his people that they should withdraw themselves from the lemmings going off a cliff, or what the Book of Mormon would call a siege, and march into the furthermost parts of the land northward.
There you go. We gotta get north. Now here's the thing. There were several chapters of this book where they should have laid siege and didn't. The concept was foreign to them, right? They would just attack these cities and get slaughtered. And I kept saying, like, just lay siege. So they finally figured it out, but they're kind of new.
I don't think they're doing it right.
Yeah, this is clearly the, they're experimenting to try and find the right formula. Let's go lay siege to a city with no supplies. It's probably, now they've learned, they'll know next time, bring food.
Let's say they don't figure it out.
Yeah. No, they have evolved. I'm saying they really have. All right. You were, 23. And now Gidgeoni, that was it. Being aware of their design and knowing of their weakness because of their want of food and the great slaughter which had been made among them. I love that he's like not taking credit. There was a great slaughter upon them. No, you killed them. Dude. All right. Sorry. Therefore he did send out his armies in the nighttime, and did cut off their way of their retreat, and did place his armies in the way of their retreat. So not good enough to let them escape.
So, got it. They retreated, it sounds like, twice. They retreated once, but I just had to describe it twice.
Indeed. Yeah, they do repeat.
And this did they do in the nighttime. Sorry, that was just such awkward grammar, I couldn't read it with any semantics. And this did they do in the nighttime, and got on their march beyond the robbers, so that on the morrow, when the robbers began their march, they were met by the armies of the Nephites, both in the front and in the rear.
Finger cuts.
Looks like they go both ways.
No, they are taking it from both ends. I don't know why, like, it's not a successful battle unless there's a genocide. Like, they must all be killed. It's the only option.
Or we have to take it in the front and the rear.
Never does it say that Gidgeoni, never does it say, like, clearly you've been beaten. I sent out some sort of peace terms or gave you an offer of surrender. No, must be killed. Although, to be fair, that could be coming. All right. And the robbers who were on the south, again with these directions, and were also cut off from their places of retreat, and all these things were done by the command of Gidgeoni. I feel like I was cheated out of a verse because that said nothing that wasn't already said in the last verse.
And I also like relative directions from relative positions don't really help. And in the south of somewhere, they went north. Got it.
That's why I'm so confused.
Can you give me
also, by the way, like, scholars have tried to put together, like, maps of what this would look like. I've seen at least 4 different ones.
Yeah, I would equate that to somebody, like, following Harry Potter at this point.
That made more sense.
And there were many thousands who did yield themselves up prisoners unto the Nephites.
Nephites? There's no O.
Nephites. I'm sorry. I was going Neo.
Yeah.
And the remainder of them were slain.
Oh, what else do you do, really?
I mean, you imprison them or slave them, I guess. Enslave.
Enslave or kill. Yeah. Those are retreat. How could you? That's not godly.
If you do, you have to take it in the front and the rear.
I'm pretty sure that might be happening to the prisoners.
Yeah.
All
Mostly in the rear.
And their leader, Zemnariah, was taken and hanged upon a tree. There you go. There's a way to deal with that. Wasn't it always like in antiquity, especially the whole like the leader of the surrender? Like he was always given a special status in a way. Usually, wasn't it? More like
hanged upon a tree. Maybe that was the status for that situation.
Could have been. That could have been an honorable way to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Yea, drink. Yea. Even upon the top thereof until he was dead. Now that sounds obvious, Scott. Right? It does. However, there's been times before where it said that a man was stoned and then was later recovering from his stoning injuries. And I'm like, wait. You... So they did have to specify they hung a man from a tree to kill him. This wasn't...
And then they have to repeat it.
Oh my God, you're right. The next verse does it again. And when they hanged him until he was dead. I don't know why. All right. They did fell the tree to the earth and did cry with a loud voice saying...
Wait.
They had to chop the tree down too.
By the way, they didn't say wait. But I like that like the tree has to go down afterwards. Like the tree is now tainted.
Yeah.
Zemnariah has been hung from this tree, so we must bury it.
Dig up the roots and in the hole. Oh wait, I have to beep that out.
All right. So I'm going to be the loud voice saying this is... May the Lord preserve his people in righteousness and in holiness of heart, that they may cause to be felled to the earth, and who shall seek to slay them, because of power and secret combinations, even as this man hath been felled to the earth, along with the tree unnecessarily.
See, this is one of those times where we're supposed to find meaning.
Yeah, he basically just repeated the fact that, yes, we just hung him from this tree.
And it's kind of like, any one of you dare to do this again. It's just kind of like a
We'll have to hang you on a different tree since we cut this one down.
I'm fairly certain this is the definition of terrorism, is to commit some sort of awful thing simply to scare other people into line.
Yeah.
I think so. Whatever. But, yeah, he's dead now, and what are you going to do? And they did rejoice and cry again with one voice, saying, May the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of good old Jacob protect this people in righteousness, as long as they shall call on the name of their God for protection.
So, if it's one God, is it necessary to call out the God of all three people, or is that assuming some type of different polytheistic situation? Because that just seems a little over the top.
You know what? Seriously, you should be apologizing. I believe you are Jewish.
I know that they're all the same lineage. I know that.
No, my point is this is plagiarized from your book.
I know. It just seems wholly unnecessary. And holy, I mean with the pun. And it came to pass,
Drink,
that they did break forth, all as one, and one for all. No, that was the Three Musketeers. All as one in singing and praising their God for the great thing which he had done for them, in preserving them from falling into the hands of their enemies.
I can cut out that Three Musketeers thing because it wasn't funny, if you want.
I could just read the whole thing all over again if you want, maybe in like a different character voice if you...
All right, they're just happy, right? Okay, fair enough. Yea, drink! They did cry, Hosanna to the Most High God. Well, he's got a stash. And they did cry, Blessed be the name of the Lord God Almighty, the Most High God.
That is the Most High God. Of all the gods, he is absolutely the Most High.
And I love that, like, typically God is capitalized, and this one, Most High God. All three words are capitalized.
You can almost picture Matthew McConaughey saying it. That is the Most High God.
Let's just call him MHG from now on.
It's going to be a new TLA.
Right.
And the last verse of chapter 4. And their hearts were swollen with joy. Sounds 50 Shades again. Unto the gushing out of many tears because of the great goodness of God in delivering them out of the hands of their enemies.
So happy they are gushing tears.
They are gushing. And they knew it was because of their repentance and their humility that they had been delivered from an everlasting destruction.
Yeah, that is true.
So code.
No, that is true, though. But clearly, I've been reading this whole thing. If not for repentance and humility, that would have been the end of them. No. So that was the end of chapter 4. We are now starting chapter 5. Scott, you gonna stick around for another one?
I think so.
Let's do this.
Well, too exciting to walk away at this point.
But you wanted evens. Do you want me to take the odds this time?
You roll with it.
All right. And now behold, there was not a living soul among all the people of the Nephites who did doubt in the least the words of all the holy prophets who had spoken. For they knew that it must needs be that they must be fulfilled. There you go. They're all holy now. And everybody else was pretty much killed, right? I mean, pretty much.
It seemed like there was a pretty good decimation.
They were either enslaved or killed, is what it said. So
imprisoned. So that's different than slaved, but I don't know what they did with them.
Pretty sure that's what that means. But anyway, it sounds like they're all now. Everyone's a believer. Great.
And they knew that it must be expedient that Christ had come due to the social media that they had at the time.
They did.
Because of the many signs which had been given. I'd love to know, did they name one sign?
Yeah, they didn't get dark one night.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the one that they did tell us about.
According to the words of their prophets, and because of the things which had come to pass, I feel like that's a drink.
I'm afraid not. That is a technicality we have ruled, sir, and it is not.
All right, well, if you want to think about it, you can have a social.
It's a voluntary drink, but
it had come to pass already. They knew that it must needs be that all things should come to pass, according to that which had been spoken.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that entire verse just said.
I'm not sure that it said anything.
It said
there were prophets that said things.
Yeah.
And those things happened.
And it had to have happened because they said it.
Yes. That's pretty much what that said.
Someone said something and it has to happen because they said it. That's actually what that said. Okay. Therefore, they did forsake all their sins and their abominations and their whoredoms. Hey, my favorite word. Whoredoms. We haven't had a whoredoms in a long time. Welcome back, whoredom. All right. Although they are forsaking it. That's a sad day when you forsake whoredoms. You know, you kind of die a little inside the day you're done with whoredom. Anyway. And did serve God with all diligence day and night. Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that really didn't say anything other than whoredoms. I think that was just an opportunity.
Well, all the other sins are almost, you don't even pay attention.
Oh,
but the whoredoms, you mess around with that.
And now it came to pass.
Drink!
That when they had taken all the robbers prisoners, insomuch that none did escape who were not slain, they did cast their prisoners into prison, and did cause the word of God to be preached unto them. And as many as would repent for their sins and enter into a covenant that they would murder no more were set to liberty. Okay. So.
Promise you're not going to kill anybody. Pinky swear.
But they also had to accept the covenant. It
Sure.
feels a little bit like ISIS, actually, right? If you promise to do the things we say and accept Allah as your Lord and Prophet, we won't kill you.
I did call them terrorists a little bit ago, so they are following the trend.
It feels a little ISIS-y. I think that's where they might have gotten their playbook.
Yeah, and I do stand corrected, by the way, because I assumed enslavement. You said imprisoned. You have been vindicated,
Wouldn't
sir.
be the first time I was more right than you.
And I wish I had a comeback, but it's just kind of true. All right. But as many as there were who did not enter into a covenant, and who did still continue to have those secret murders in their hearts. How do you know? How do you know someone has a secret murder in their heart? Anyway, yay, drink. As many as were found breathing out threatenings against their brethren were condemned and punished according to the law. I don't know. What does that mean? I think they might have just been killed, Scott.
I think punished according to the law, it basically means death.
Because that's kind of the only, that's like in the Old Testament law, which they're following, the law of Moses, they always say. I'm pretty sure that's like, you're either innocent or killed.
And I can't help but see ahead. I try not to read ahead, but I think the see ahead tells me that might happen. And thus they did put an end to all those wicked and secret and abominable combinations in which they were so much wickedness and so many murders committed. I think they're saying they killed them all. Somehow that's not murder, but I think that's what they're saying.
They did put it to an end, so that does seem kind of final.
Yeah.
They must have killed them. And yeah, I'm sad that they didn't even call out that there's no more whoredoms, which kind of, you know what that means? There's still some whoredom going on. No one's talking about it.
It's kind of like gambling. You never talk about the losses. You talk about the winnings.
Yeah, I think this is more kind of like speakeasy whoredoms, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows they're there, but you don't write it down, Yeah.
There's a code word for whoredom now.
They're pretty happy. There's no more murder, but no mention of whoredoms being eradicated from the earth. So, yeah. All right. And thus had the 22nd year passed away, and the 23rd year also, and the 24th, and the 25th. It is that stupid. It really does this all the time.
How about 5 years past?
No, for the record, I'm actually happy because before, like a few chapters ago, there would have been a different verse for every year to say nothing happened. So this is a step up. All right. And thus had 20 and 5 years passed away. There you go. I'm so glad I got to read that one.
So we're now at 20 and 6.
Apparently we are at 20 and 6.
So we'll assume we're at 20 and 6. Just to set context, somewhere near the north and the south and the east and the west of somewhere, we're in the 20 and 6th year, just so you can get context. And there had many things transpired which, in the eyes of some, would be great and marvelous. Nonetheless, they cannot all be written in this book. Yay! Drink! This book cannot even 100th part of what was done among so many people in the space of 20 and 5 years. And because of all these things, we will tell you none of it and speak in ambiguity for the most of it. Like, literally, this is like saying, listen, I know we told you a lot of things and most of which weren't very specific, but trust me, all the stuff that did happen was awesome.
I know. And it's like, well, wait a minute. So you must have given us like the best. Yes, of the 100th.
This is the best.
This is the best you got. I don't know.
Hits.
I don't know how great and marvelous the rest were. If this was the absolute best you had, that you slaughtered an entire people. But okay, great and marvelous things. Couldn't possibly write it all down. Honestly, though, in their defense, Scott, they are chiseling these on plates. So I mean, you do have to. You got to be pretty careful about what you write down.
Well, if you're chiseling things on plates, you might not want to say, and the 20th year, and the 20th and 2nd,
True.
and the 20th and 3rd.
True. Maybe abbreviate it came to pass.
Maybe a Roman numeral.
Yeah.
An I and a V. Seems like it might be more efficient.
All right, so fantastic. Verse 9, but behold, there are records which do contain all the proceedings of this people, and a shorter but true account was given by Nephi. What does that mean? There are records which contain all of it, and a shorter but true account was given by Nephi. Where are those records?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? We wrote down this in this book, but the rest, Nephi, who's no longer with us, has.
By the way, this is Nephi the third. Yeah, this is not the first Nephi that you probably...
This isn't the 20 and 1st year. This is the second 20 and 1st year.
That Nephi's been dead like 600 years. This is a fresh Nephi. All right, so Nephi was a good abridger. He abridged it down to an 100th of what happened. Fantastic.
Therefore I have made my record of these things according to the record of Nephi the third, which was engraven onto the plates, which were called the plates of Nephi the first.
I don't know.
The third and the first were just made up,
yeah,
just so you know.
It's already confusing enough. I think people might have actually believed you and been like, what? All right, so...
It's all about delivery.
I never figure out. So it's like, therefore, I have made an account. So suddenly, we went first person. Don't know when that happened. And then secondly, this is the third book of Nephi. I assume this was like Nephi writing it. And now I'm not sure what's happening. It sounds like somebody else...
It could be Nephi the third talking about the original Nephi.
No, you can't imagine how dumb that sounds. That was 600 years ago, and this is talking about things happening now. I think...
But somehow it was engraven onto the plates.
Yeah. This might be like Plato Aristotle kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like someone else writing it down. Was that the right ones? Plato wrote what Aristotle said, I think. Does that
sounds
sound right?
right.
I think that's right. So that's I just don't know who Plato is in this. Oh, wait. Never mind. It's coming up. Here we go. Let's just move on. And behold, I do make the records on plates, which I have made with mine own hands. And now for the spoiler, go.
And behold, I am called Mormon.
Mormon!
Being called after the land of Mormon,
Sure.
which is somewhere north and somewhere south and somewhere east and somewhere west of somewhere.
Yeah.
The land in which Alma did establish the church among the people. Yea, drink! The first church which was established among them after their transgression.
To a seasoned reader like myself, all of that actually did make sense. So now I get it. Okay, so this is... Wow. How long has Mormon been writing? This is the first time this came up. I'm not sure how long he's been around, because he can't be hundreds of years old. So I don't know who was writing in the last... I don't know. All right. Mormon is apparently the author who is taking the words of Nephi and making at least this book. I don't know who wrote the rest of them. But whatever. I don't know that it matters. Does it? Probably not. Moving on, and behold, I am a disciple of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and I have been called to him to declare his word among his people, that they might have everlasting life.
And this is Mormon.
Yeah, Mormon is now talking. It went first person.
Got it.
Without any warning, in verse 10, we switched to the first person, and Mormon is now talking. Yeah.
And it hath become expedient that I, according to the will of God, that the prayers of those who have gone hence, who were the holy ones, should be fulfilled according to their faith, should make a record of these things which I have done, which have been done.
Yeah. This is really a strange...
Really just repeating what we just said.
Well, this is a really weird, left turn this whole book took. I don't know, because there was a chapter forever ago called The Words of Mormon. And I thought, oh, the Mormon himself. And it was like a page, and it didn't really say anything. It was the strangest little insert. So I wonder if I went back and read that now, if that would make more sense. But for now, we just have to move on, because none of that. You can't pause and go back. It feels like cheating, kind of. So, yeah, we're just going to move on. All right. Yay. Drink. A small record of that which hath taken place from that time that Lehi left Jerusalem, even down until the present time. That was a big pause for absolutely nothing. So
I don't think we said anything yet again.
It's a small record of the last 600 years.
Therefore I do make my record from the accounts which have been given by those who were before me until the commencement of my day. Okay. So basically this is my part of the journal. People are passing the baton in the relay race of journaling what's been happening. And now it's Mormon saying I'm writing until I pass the torch.
That's fair. You know what it was? Nephi the third was just probably illiterate.
Could be.
He could have been. Because his dad, he had a deadbeat dad. So Nephi the second just ditched him. Went out for cigarettes and never came home. And he actually went to the wilderness. That's what they do.
Well, I don't blame him. There's a Chipotle in the wilderness.
He went to the wilderness, and it literally said he was never seen or heard from again. It was like, well, okay. So, Nephi the third, having grown up without a good parental figure, because there are no women in this book. Well, there's a few, but they're not very good women. They're whoredoms. Anyway. Yeah. Who would have taught him how to read and write? That's why I had to hire this Mormon guy. I think it's all adding up now. Yeah. At least to me.
So really Mormon was just a contractor.
Yeah, I think so.
That was his role in this whole thing.
Well, he hasn't been introduced in any way. He just said hey, I'm Mormon. You're like,
he's like the ghostwriter.
Yeah, it's suddenly not being a ghost anymore. Now he's just bragging about that he's writing it, but we don't know who he is, where he came from, no backstory. He just popped up. That's why I've been so confused ever since verse 10. It just really weird turn. All right, therefore I do make my record from the accounts. You already read that. Okay. 17 is where I meant to start. And then I do make my records of things which I have seen with mine own eyes. Okay. So like you said, it's just an add-on. He saw it. He added the plates. All right.
I feel like I'm jipping you out of something with that one sentence.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
And I know the record, which I make to be a just and true record.
Sure.
Nevertheless, there are many things which, according to our language, we are not able to write. They've already written 50 Shades of Grey. What exactly is, not allowed?
If only we had a word for senseless slaughter.
Yes.
If only there was a word for it, we'd have written it down. That's awesome. What are you going to do? I also love that when you read back, there's so many times where it's like explaining the motivation of people. Like they did this, because their hearts were this or that. And he's like, this is just and true. How the hell do you know? You can't read people's minds. But anyway, just and true, everybody. And now I make an end of my saying. Something tells me it's not going to be over though, because they always say that they're done and it goes on for quite some time. Which is of myself, and proceed to give my account of the things which have been before me. See? What'd I tell you? I make an end of my saying to start a new thing.
Just before I start saying exactly. A whole lot of things.
I'm telling you, I remember so clearly, the last verse of the first book of Nephi was, and I, Nephi, make an end of my record. You turn the page and it's second book of Nephi. Like, what the hell's going on?
I do very much remember. It reminds me of the movie Back to School, and he's like, I have only one thing to say in 27 parts.
Yeah, like Helaman. The book of Helaman. Helaman died like the first chapter. I'm like, what's the rest of this book? It always happens.
That was the backstory.
No.
Okay. I am Mormon, a pure and descendant of Lehi.
Oh, we're getting backstory.
I have a reason to bless my God and my Savior, Jesus Christ.
Sure, don't we all?
That he brought our fathers out of the land of Jerusalem, parentheses, and no one knew it save it were himself and those whom he brought out of that land, close parenthesis. And that hath given me and my people so much knowledge unto the salvation of our souls. I don't normally read parentheses, but I felt like there was backstory within the backstory, and I thought it was important to call that out.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a ridiculous parenthesis, by the way.
Because it really seemed like part of the sentence.
Do you understand what it said?
Yeah.
It said that only the people that God saved knew that they were getting saved. Everyone else just died in ignorance.
It'd be kind of like, a bunch of people survive an accident, and then they say, God told us that he was going to save us. Everybody else, God chose not to.
Didn't that just happen? That someone, made this big deal? They were all over the news because
It was the boy, though. He was a young kid. He was 8 years old, and he said he went to heaven when he...
No. That's a different thing. Okay. I'm talking about one of these, every other week, some Malaysian airline disappears.
Yeah.
So the last one, there were some people that something happened, like car accident, something or other. Or no, I don't know what it was. There's a bunch of people whose mother got diagnosed with cancer and she was dying or something. And so they couldn't get on the plane. They had to stay with mom. And then it crashed. And they're like, praise Jesus.
For the cancer? Praise Jesus for the slow and painful death.
Right,
this is the expedient.
Well, the other funny thing is wait a minute. So everybody else didn't what's going on? So yeah, this is kind of like that. The few that God saves, they're going to know they were saved, but everybody else, they won't know.
Well, they know they didn't.
No, they know they did not because they are dead. All right. Surely he hath blessed the house of Jacob and hath been merciful unto the seed of Joseph. Well, you gotta take care of your seed now.
It definitely
you don't just squirt that anywhere.
And insomuch as the children can't just squirt a seed and walk away. You gotta kind of hit that one a second time.
I'm afraid so.
I'm gonna need a tissue. And insomuch as the children of Lehi have kept his commandments, he hath blessed them and prospered them according to his word.
Sure.
I don't think we said anything of substance there.
We'll just move on. Yea, drink, and surely shall he again bring a remnant of the seed of Joseph to the knowledge of the Lord their God. Just a remnant. A little piece of seed.
What is a remnant clothing? What is that?
That's more, it's like kind of what you'd call dribble.
But it's a remnant of the seed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the sock that you leave at the end of your bed, right? I mean, is that what that is?
I was thinking more like the clear stuff. It's kind of like a minute later.
So like the post-ejac? Can we say ejac? I've tried to keep it clean.
I feel like we have passed the point of me not being able to put an E rating on this show long ago.
Okay. All right. So now that we've gotten over the remnant of the seed of Joseph, which I think most people wouldn't be grateful to receive. I'm being serious, though, for a second. And surely he again shall bring a remnant of the seed of Joseph to the knowledge of the Lord of their God. That actually gives you knowledge? If that was the case, I'd be drinking semen every day.
No, I think what it's saying... Oh,
I'm just saying.
That I might have to beep.
I said semen.
No, but what it's saying... Oh, is that okay?
What are the people on a ship called in the Navy?
Yes, that's what you drink. All right, so, but here the thing is, what he's saying is that he's such a great God because he's allowed that just a handful of those descendants to know about God.
Yeah, I got it. I just think it was a very...
It's also kind of mean. Yeah. What about all the rest of the descendants?
No, they're not getting it.
Going to hell. Yeah. No money shot for you.
And that's somehow permissible.
Money shot's fine.
Semen is bad, but money shot.
Yeah. All right. And my turn.
24.
You got to read all that seed. All right. And as surely as the Lord liveth, he will gather in from the four quarters of the earth all the remnant of the seed of Jacob, who are scattered abroad upon all the face of the earth.
I'm not comfortable that you get to read about the remnants of his seed, and I never get to.
You just did.
No, that was your part. Right?
Literally, the last verse you read about, you opened up the whole topic.
I guess what I'm saying is I didn't get any remnants of his seed.
No, I'll give you a remnant of his seed.
And as he hath covenanted, is that a word? And
oh my God.
Hath covenanted.
I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but that is, you did as good a job as I've ever done.
Let's say as well a job. And he has covenanted with all the house of Jacob.
Sure.
Even so shall the covenant wherewith he hath covenanted. This is like a tongue twister.
Yes.
With the house of Jacob be fulfilled in his own due time, unto restoring all the house of Jacob, unto the knowledge of the covenant that he hath covenanted with them.
Covenanted.
How much remnant of seed would a remnant of seed chuck if a remnant of seed chuck could chuck seed?
All right, so this is pretty much saying, hey, listen here, Israelites. Listen up, Jews. Just because life sucks for you, God's going to get around to it. In his own due time, he's going to get around to fulfilling his end of the bargain. Is that not how that sounds?
It's racist.
It's pretty racist. So just take all your hardship and your, live without whoredoms, because eventually God's going to realize that he owes you something. But it's going to happen in his own due time. Oh, wait, I'm fairly certain I have to cut that out. All right.
It's tough love.
Oh. All right, now I get to close it up. And then shall they know their Redeemer, who is Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And they shall say, be gathered in... No, I said that wrong. And they shall be gathered in from the four quarters of the earth unto their own lands, from whence they have been dispersed. Yea. Drink! As the Lord liveth, so it shall be. Say it together. Amen. That really was the last word in that chapter. We weren't just yelling amen to be idiots. Anyway, okay. So, Scott, thanks for joining us. This is going to be a long one. What are you going to do?
That's what
Actually, it may not be, because I might have to edit out half of what we said. We'll see. Probably not. I'll probably be irresponsible and just release the whole thing. But, okay, once again, we have, I'm going to let Scott talk about his blog a little, which I think is fantastic. I've never missed one. I think it's, informative and entertaining. And I'm a big fan. So Scott, take it away. How do we find you?
Well, I'm not really here to plug it. It was a good time. Just glad to come and enjoy and read the Book of Mormon. It's always a pleasure. Always learn something.
Don't hear that every day.
Mostly I learn new ways to write, perhaps, and make it take a whole lot longer to say a very simple thing. MyBiasedOpinion.com. You could take a look. It'll probably offend you, and that's pretty much what it's there for. So thanks for the time.
You kind of want some hate mail, though.
I welcome your hate mail. I do.
Have you gotten any hate mail?
I have gotten no hate mail. In fact, I've gotten a lot of love. And
so you've gotten some hate tweets.
Well, that happens. But I think I must market more to people that agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Or the people that disagree just don't have more time than 140 characters, and they want a quick disagreement.
Could be.
So how do we find you on Twitter? Did you already say that?
I don't think I did, but it's at My Biased Opinion.
That's a shocker.
It is. It's very simple. Or mybiasedopinion@gmail.com.
It's almost like you've branded My Biased Opinion.
It's almost like I paid the full $9 to get the name. Unlike My Book of Mormon podcast.
Yeah, My Book of Mormon, like it was up for auction. And I'm like, who
did you offer them $12?
That's probably my problem.
That might be it. Sometimes you have to offer them a little bit more than they spent for the domain name.
I'll try that. What do you think, guys? My motion, I go and try. No, forget it. They might actually all say yes, and that sounds like work.
By the way, I want to say this was the first appearance of a guest in Mimo Studios.
Yes, I think we're going to call it Mimo Studios now. We've never called it that before, but why not? It feels right. All right, with that, I have to stop it because, we can't. We're just getting worse. We are. We're
None like of the last point. 5 minutes can be used.
Probably not.
Yeah, this might be the first episode that has a big red E on it. We'll see. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. And you guys are awesome. Keep being awesome. Thanks, Scott, for joining us. And goodbye. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
There it is. Bye.
Chakalaka.
This song is licensed for use within this podcast. All song and copyright information can be found at www.mybookofmormonpodcast.com.